I'm a security consultant at a Stockholm hotel. Last month, an American guest demanded we install metal detectors at every entrance. Not because of any incident, just because we didn't have them. She'd been in Sweden for 3 days and couldn't comprehend that a hotel with 200 rooms had only 2 visible security cameras and no armed guards. She filed a formal complaint stating our negligent security practices made her feel unsafe in a foreign war zone. When I explained that Sweden has one of the lowest crime rates globally, she pulled up a screenshot from a 3-year-old Fox News segment about a small neighborhood incident and said, "See? This whole country is dangerous." She demanded a refund because we refused to take guest safety seriously. I watched her march past our secure keycard system, past our 24-hour staffed reception, past our well-lit corridors, muttering about how American hotels would never allow this. The irony? She was from a city with triple-hour homicide rate. If you're someone who doesn't just accept the American narrative about the world, but actually wants the truth behind it, this is the channel that keeps you informed before the rest catch up. So lock yourself in now, then there's the guy in Copenhagen who called emergency services because he saw teenagers walking alone at 10 p.m. He genuinely believed they were in danger and that Danish parents were criminally negligent. The dispatcher had to explain that Danish children commonly travel independently from age 10. An American tourist in Vienna demanded to know where the safe neighborhoods were. Genuinely shocked when the tourism officer said, "All of them." She spent 20 minutes insisting there must be areas to avoid. Europeans don't just notice American safety obsession, they're bewildered by it. Most channels make fun of this. I decode why it happens and how culture shapes fear. If you want to understand what the rest of the world figured out years ago, stay ahead, subscribe. Let's explore how Americans export their fear-based worldview to a continent that quietly solved problems decades ago. I work at a playground in Utrecht, Netherlands, and an American father physically removed his daughter from our equipment, shouting that our wooden climbing structure was a lawsuit waiting to happen. The structure has been there since 1987 with 0 serious injuries across hundreds of thousands of children. He was horrified by the 12-foot climbing tower with rope nets, the unsupervised zipline, and the dangerous merry-go-round that actually spins fast. He lectured me for 15 minutes about American safety standards, saying Dutch playgrounds would be shut down immediately in the States. He demanded to see our liability insurance policy, inspection certificates, and maintenance records. When I showed him documentation proving quarterly safety inspections in full compliance with EU standards, which are actually stricter than American ones in many ways, he dismissed it as European bureaucracy. Covering up problems, his daughter, meanwhile, watched Dutch 6-year-olds confidently scaling the tower she'd been forbidden from touching. He actually called the American embassy to report hazardous public facilities endangering children. Embassy politely told him Dutch playgrounds are internationally recognized for promoting healthy risk-taking and child development. He left insisting we were one accident away from learning the hard way. I'm a pharmacist in Prague, and an American tourist had a meltdown because we don't keep medications behind bulletproof glass. Our pharmacy has open shelves where customers can browse over-the-counter medicines, with prescription drugs in a regular secured area behind the counter. She was convinced we'd be robbed within days and couldn't understand why we hadn't been yet. She claimed American pharmacies need fortress-level security because of constant theft and violence. When I mentioned that our pharmacy has operated for 43 years without a single robbery, she said we were just lucky and that our lax security was irresponsible. She then asked if we had armed security for our prescription opioids. I explained that Czech prescription protocols and tracking systems make diversion extremely difficult, and we don't have an opioid crisis requiring armed guards. She looked at our elderly pharmacist and teenage intern working peacefully and said, "You have no idea how dangerous this business is." She left, shaking her head, warning us that it only takes once. The teenager asked me afterward if American pharmacies really have armed guards. When I said some do, she asked why Americans need so much medicine that people would shoot for it. I manage a university dormitory in Lund, Sweden, and American exchange students consistently panic about our non-existent security. We have keycard building access, monitored entries, and resident advisors, but no guards, gates, or cameras in every hallway. One American student submitted a formal petition demanding 24/7 armed security, security cameras in all common areas, mandatory ID checks for all visitors, and a fence around the entire complex. She gathered signatures from other American students, claiming European students don't understand modern security threats. Her evidence was a list of American campus shootings events that simply don't happen here. When I explained that Swedish universities have virtually no violent crime and that our open design actually enhances safety through natural surveillance and community trust, she accused me of minimizing real concerns. She said American campuses need extreme security because of constant threats, and she couldn't relax without similar measures. She filed complaints with her home university claiming we were exposing students to unnecessary risk. Meanwhile, Swedish students propped doors open for friends, studied outside until midnight, and walked home alone without fear. The American students formed their own escort system and group chat for safe walking times. By semester's end, several admitted they felt safer here than on their American campus, but couldn't articulate why the cognitive dissonance was too strong. I'm a swimming pool manager in Munich, and an American family caused chaos, demanding lifeguards at our adult lap pool. This is a facility for experienced swimmers doing serious training. Everyone using it has passed competency tests. The father couldn't grasp that we don't employ lifeguards for skilled adult athletes. He claimed it was criminally negligent and threatened to report us to German authorities for violating safety regulations. When I showed him that our setup is completely legal and standard across Germany, he insisted German law must be wrong. He brought up American statistics about drowning deaths, arguing that every body of water needs constant supervision. I explained that German swimming education is mandatory and rigorous. Most adults here are strong swimmers, unlike America, where many adults never learn properly. He wasn't satisfied. He attempted to hire a private lifeguard to sit poolside during his family's swim sessions. When no one would take the job, because it was absurd, he tried to designate his teenage son as their family lifeguard and bought him a whistle and floaties. Other swimmers complained about the teenager sitting clothed at pool's edge, staring at his parents' swimming laps. The father eventually filed a formal incident report, claiming the pool was an accident waiting to happen. His evidence? 0 accidents had occurred, which he argued meant we were due for one statistically. I work at a train station in Zurich, and an American tourist reported a suspicious, unattended bag. It turned out to be a commuter's laptop bag, left on a bench while she bought coffee 10 meters away. This happens dozens of times daily. Swiss people routinely leave belongings unattended briefly because theft is rare and social trust is high. The American insisted we evacuate the entire station and call the bomb squad. When I explained that unattended bags are not automatically threats here, and that the owner was clearly visible nearby, he said I was dangerously naive about terrorism. He started shouting warnings at other passengers to evacuate, creating the only actual panic. He photographed the bag and posted it on social media with our location, claiming Swiss authorities were ignoring obvious threats. When police arrived called by the American, not as they politely explained that Swiss security protocols are sophisticated and intelligence-driven, not fear-based. They don't treat every forgotten item as a bomb because actual threat assessment involves more nuance. The American argued that post 9/11, America learned the hard way, and that Europeans were living in a pre-9/11 mindset. The officer noted that Switzerland has highly effective security precisely because they don't waste resources on false alarms, maintaining public trust while remaining vigilant against actual threats. The American left furious, convinced he'd witnessed European complacency firsthand. The laptop bag's owner returned with her coffee, completely unaware she'd nearly caused an international incident. I'm a park ranger in the Ardennes Forest, Belgium, and an American hiker called emergency services because he encountered a family camping in the wilderness without weapons. 8. The Belgian family had a tent, camping stove, and 2 small children sleeping peacefully. The American hiker was genuinely terrified for their safety, insisting that camping in isolated woods without firearms was suicidal. Our emergency dispatch thought he was reporting an actual threat until they realized he was concerned about the absence of guns. When I met him at the trailhead, he explained that American wilderness camping requires bear spray, knives, and often firearms because of wildlife and other dangers. I explained that the Ardennes has no large predators, minimal dangerous wildlife, and extraordinarily low crime rates. Families camp here constantly without incident. He pulled up his phone, showing American news stories about random wilderness attacks and animal encounters, arguing these dangers are universal in nature. When I noted that Europe's most dangerous wild animal is probably a bad-tempered boar that will run away if you're loud, he seemed personally offended. He insisted that the Belgian family was irresponsible. Parents and that he'd camped in Tennessee, where you need protection from everything. He wanted me to warn the family about their dangerous choices. I radioed to check on them instead. They were making breakfast and planning a morning hike. The father, overhearing the conversation, asked what Americans think is in our forests. When I said apparently constant mortal danger, he laughed and said, their 7-year-old daughter hikes these trails with her school group. The American hiker left, convinced that Europeans survive through dumb luck. I'm the security director for a concert venue in Berlin that hosts 5,000 people. And last summer, an American tour manager demanded we install airport-level security because that's standard for American venues this size. We have bag checks, trained security staff, and emergency protocols. But we don't have metal detectors, full-body pat-downs, or multiple security checkpoints creating hour-long entry lines. He was apoplectic, insisting that without extreme measures, we'd inevitably have an incident. He presented a 50-page security proposal used at American venues, complete with armed guards, vehicle barriers, and sniper detection systems. When I explained that German concerts don't experience the violence levels that drive American security protocols, he claimed I was naive about modern threats. He argued that any large gathering is a target and that European venues are soft targets, waiting to be exploited. I walked him through our actual security philosophy: well-trained personnel, intelligence cooperation, crowd management expertise, rapid response capabilities, sophisticated security that doesn't treat every attendee as a potential threat. He couldn't comprehend it. He insisted on hiring additional private security for the American artist, which was his right. But those guards stood around awkwardly all night while our team efficiently managed the happy crowd. The concert ended peacefully, as they always do. Attendees left quickly through multiple exits. No one was injured, and nothing was stolen. The tour manager admitted the show went well, but said we got lucky, and that eventually your luck runs out. He couldn't accept that maybe, just maybe, when you build a society with strong social safety nets, effective health care, quality education, economic opportunity, and communal trust, you don't need to turn every public space into a fortress. That maybe the security theater Americans endure is treating symptoms of deeper societal problems rather than creating actual safety. Here's what Europeans understand that Americans struggle with. Real security comes from addressing root causes, not adding more locks. When people have healthcare, economic stability, and hope, they're less desperate. When communities are connected, they're naturally safer. When guns aren't everywhere, gun violence is rare. It's not complicated. But Americans arrive here seeing danger everywhere because back home, danger is everywhere. And rather than questioning why their safe country requires so much security while our vulnerable continent doesn't, they assume we're naive. They export their fear-based worldview and call our peace luck. I track these cultural blind spots full-time so you don't have to. If you're done settling for surface-level reactions, subscribe. And don't miss the next insight that changes the way you see both America and the Americans. They confuse security theater with actual safety. Fortresses with functioning societies. The saddest part: watching Americans slowly realize they feel safer here and performing mental gymnastics to avoid confronting what that means about home.